Friends, in this video for iThought Wealth, we are going to continue the series on portfolio quality, and the topic that I am going to talk to you is position sizing. Let me explain what is position sizing. How much each stock should constitute on your overall equity portfolio. Let's say your overall equity portfolio is 100. What should be your allocation to each stock position? How do you bring each stock idea to the correct position? And how do you scale up that position and make it bigger, or scale down the position when there is a need to make it smaller? When you get an idea and you like it instantly, you want to buy as much as you can of that stock. Isn't that true? If you look at people who are completely convinced by, say, one company, it could be a Bajaj Finance, or it could be an ITC, or an Asian Paints, or a Pidilite, what did they do? They bought as much shares as they could in that company with the money they had. So if you took that overall portfolio, many people didn't even bother about what should be the size of that stock in their overall equity portfolio. So in that instance, position size didn't even matter. But for a disciplined investor who wants to grow and create a big portfolio, position size matters a lot. It matters that you learn it early, because people who don't get into the habit of building positions and right sizing them never practice it even after they have grown as an investor. And they just say, oh, I don't care, this is so much in my portfolio, I would just allow it to run. But investors who are investing for life goals, people for whom the money matters, who have to educate children, who have to provide for themselves in their retirement age, when this equity portfolio will give you money for subsistence. Those who want to travel and see the world after they stop working. Somebody who wants to leave behind a good legacy for their children or spouse. For all those people, it's not a game. They cannot take it lightly and just allow one stock to become a dominant part of a portfolio, after which it doesn't quite perform. So it's important that you understand position sizing early and maintain the discipline. Position sizing cuts both ways. Your position could be too small to make a difference. I know a friend of mine who's an exceptional fund manager, who's bought the best of companies but held only 1 or 2% of them. So they didn't really give his portfolio the return commensurate to his effort to identify the idea. And that's true of all of us, right? Why we single him out? It's true of you, it's true of me. Many people who size positions too small think the stock should come to their price. This is one typical curse of position sizing. I'll give you an example. I gave an order to a dealer to buy 1 lakh shares in a consumer durable company at 125. If he had bought that position, that would have straight away become something like 5% of my portfolio at that time. But what happened was, that stock came up to 127 and he ended up not buying any shares, right? Now it's not even too small a position, there was no position. Many people buy some 1% and then wait for the stock to come down to some particular price. They are fixated on the price. Too small positions don't make a difference to your portfolio. So you need to ensure that doesn't happen. Then there's the other extreme. Too big to affect the portfolio. Let's assume you had a very big position in a company which was hit on the face by COVID initially. Then your entire portfolio could have got rocked for a brief period of time. Let's say you have too much in a very small cap company which is more of an idea and doesn't have numbers to support it, when the idea becomes questioned, the stock can collapse. So too big to affect the portfolio is the other extreme case in position sizing. I know people who owned portfolios only comprising real estate stocks at some point in time. And when the collapse happened, they couldn't bring themselves up to face it. In 2000, I've seen an investor hold only tech stock in his portfolio. And in 2001, he changed his whole investment outlook to say that give me something which will give me 9-10%, that's enough for me. He didn't want equity itself. Why? Because he held only a few tech stocks which formed too much weightage in his portfolio. Today, we see people buy only small cap funds, a portfolio comprising only small cap mutual funds, right? So the position size will obviously be too high. So in every market context, making the positions too high is risky, and that risk tends to come home to hurt. It hurts the whole portfolio, it hurts the psyche, and it hurts the investor so much that he doesn't even believe in his own philosophy. What if our strategy of position sizing fails? That's the first thing we must consider before we broach the subject of position sizing. Make sure that you approach position sizing in a manner which does not automatically lead us to the place where you can fail. So go slowly, but don't go too slowly. Look for validation and keep sizing your positions as your conviction becomes more or if the valuation turns in your favor. Sometimes your position can be short of what you want it to be, but it would still reach your base level where it can also make a decent difference to your portfolio. We think only about success in position sizing. It's a good thing to think about success, but it's not so good to think only about success. So keep your success orientation in check by providing some room for potential failure. Think about the other side. The other case should also be debated by you when you do position sizing. Then your position won't be too small to succeed, nor too big to fail. So you will be firmly in the middle ground. But this middle ground is fairly broad. The range can be fairly broad in position sizing. But within that broad range, you still won't have a position too small to make a difference. That's the key thing. There is one important variable in position sizing. What if you're too early? If you're too early and you've bought too much, then the wait can be quite long. I know a friend who has been bullish on a very leading property company in Mumbai. His conviction was very good, and I have seen his conviction 3 years ago. I'm happy that he stayed the course till now, and he had an outlier position in that real estate company. He made the money now. Now, I gave two scenarios in real estate. One where at the top you own too much, where the investor came to grief and pain. In the other, where at the bottom he owned too much, but luckily, though he was too early, he stuck to his conviction long enough and stayed without returns, so that when the rewards came, he was at the right place. So being too early is a serious risk, especially when you size your positions very big. But if you're too early and you size your position small, then as you go along, you can size your position up and make it large enough well in time to make a significant difference when your idea works out, when you're right. So how do I view positions? I'm going to give you 3 empirical combos. This is the era of combos. So I'll give you 3 combos which I like. The first I used when I was a much younger investor, which is a 2-5-10 approach. An early position will be 2%. A position which carries more conviction, which I believe is closer to turning into very high conviction, will be 5%, and a high conviction position will be 10%. So 2, 5, 10. So the 3 types of positions which I would build into a portfolio. But I found that in this approach, there were many ideas where I wanted to go to 10% straight. This is true of all of us. Sometimes we get convinced very quickly, for better or worse. And we also want to translate our conviction into action. We don't want to procrastinate. We want to do whatever it takes. And that leads us to building that position very quickly. So you would build a 10% position very quickly. And once you build that position, you could well see that stock fall further. Then you don't have a comeback. That's where the mid-size position, the moderated high conviction, one that can help you double later, works. So the 5% works. The 2% is just exploratory. I like the idea, I believe in it, but it's nowhere near high conviction. So the 2% conviction area is a playing field. It's where you experiment. It's a laboratory. And the 5 and 10% ideas were serious business. But as you start investing for others, 10% may not work. It's all nice to say that I do very high conviction investing, but it may not suit you. Or it may not suit many of our friends who trust us, who place their confidence in our investing philosophy. So while our conviction may be very high, we still need moderation. Also, just like in cricket or in any other field of sport, as you grow older as an investor, you want to sober down and still play the game, and you want to play the game longer. So you kind of control your aggression. You moderate your aggression in such a way that you are able to play better. So you do carry that conviction, but you handle it with a soft touch. So the 2-5-10 over a period of 10 years has kind of become 3-5-7. So the band has narrowed, but the startup position is slightly bigger, right? So there's a 3% position, there's a 5% position, there's a 7% position. So to start a position straight at 3, you don't rush. So you have more filters to explore and don't quickly go to 3%. By the time you go to 3% itself, you're on the right path. There's no room for error by the time you hit 3. Even 3-5-7, in my opinion, is a far more aggressive approach than the mutual funds. Most mutual funds are diversified and their positions don't lend to such size. But 3-5-7 approach generally does not allow you to start a position so quickly. So some ideas can completely go away from us. By the time we start buying, the idea is gone. So we miss it. So you will miss some ideas where your peers or the market is smarter. Mr. Market will outsmart you when everybody is quicker to the finishing line. Then there is a more conservative approach which I think makes sense for very, very conservative investors. That's the 1-3-5. So positions start at 1%, they go to 3% when your conviction is higher, and finally to 5% when you are carrying very, very strong conviction. This is a moderated approach, but it's enough to fulfill the needs of the average investor, somebody who doesn't want to take too much risk, but who wants to beat inflation comfortably and who wants to make returns which will give him sustained financial power for the rest of his life. So over a period of time, we have tried 3 approaches. One personally, predominantly for oneself. One for both oneself and for others. And the third, mainly for people who are coming into this asset class with a sense of caution, with that edgy feeling of, I don't want to go wrong. I want to make money, but I don't want to stake it on. I want to keep it in check. There could be better approaches to position sizing. I'm sure many of you are much smarter. But what I have shared with you is something which I have practiced to good effect, which has helped me adapt and get the most out of opportunity. There are times when I switch from the 3-5-7 approach to the 2-5-10 approach, and that is when markets are extremely bearish. And there are times when you switch from the 2-5-10 approach to the 3-5-7 approach when the markets become extremely bullish. So you can switch from one approach to another depending on the market context and your own mind state. Do you feel you have made too much money? Downsize your positions. Do you feel it's all trading so cheap and you don't know what to buy, you feel like a child in a candy shop? Push it up. So do what suits you, think for yourself. You could come up with something better than all these things which I have just spoken about. But use this video as just another way of looking at position sizing. Thank you for watching this video. Do share it with your friends. Join us on this journey of learning with iThought Wealth. Thank you.